Greetings, travelers of time and seekers of forgotten tales. I am Osric, keeper of stories lost to the winds of history. Some call me the Tale-Binder, for I gather the fraying threads of legends nearly lost and weave them anew for ears that hunger for mystery. Welcome to the first of our journeys together. Today, we venture to 12th century England, not to hear of kings and conquests that fill the common histories, but to uncover a peculiar tale that has whispered its way through 9 centuries, the story of the Green Children of Woolpit. The village of Woolpit lies in Suffolk, in the east of England. Its name comes from wolf pit, for the traps once dug here to capture wolves that threatened the flocks. In the mid-12th century, when our tale unfolds, England was recovering from a period known as the Anarchy, a time of civil war and lawlessness that had torn through the realm. King Stephen had just died in 1154, and Henry II now sat upon the throne, bringing order to a fractured kingdom. Woolpit itself belonged to the powerful Abbey of Bury St. Edmunds. The village was known for little beyond its sheep and its devotion to St. Mary, whose church still stands there today. These fields and forests would have been the daily world of Woolpit's people, a place where life moved with the seasons and little changed from year to year, which is perhaps why what happened next was recorded with such astonishment by not one, but 2 respected chroniclers of the age. Ralph of Coggeshall, abbot and chronicler, wrote of this incident in his Chronicon Anglicanum, and William of Newburgh, an Augustinian canon known for his careful historical work, included it in his Historia Rerum Anglicarum. These were men devoted to recording truth as they understood it, not tellers of children's fables. What brought these learned men to record such a fantastical tale? Let us seek. It happened during the harvest season when the villagers of Woolpit were gathering in their crops. Near the ancient wolf pits that gave the village its name, the harvesters made a discovery that stopped them in their tracks. 2 small children, a boy and a girl, had appeared seemingly from nowhere. The chronicles tell us they emerged from the pits themselves, though whether they fell in after wandering there or whether the pits were where they first appeared in our world, none can say. But what caused the harvesters to recoil in fear and wonder was the children's appearance. For their skin was not the ruddy hue of English peasant children, nor the olive tone of foreign lands known to these simple folk. No, the children's skin was green. Green as fresh grass. Green as new leaves in spring. Their clothing, too, was strange, made of unfamiliar material, of a color not known, as Ralph of Coggeshall writes. And when the villagers approached them with offers of food and comfort, the children responded in a language none had ever heard before. It was not English, nor Norman French, nor any tongue known to even the most learned men later consulted. The boy and girl wept, seemingly lost and confused. Though they could not understand the villagers, nor the villagers them, their distress was a language all recognized. And so, with a mixture of fear and compassion, the people of Woolpit took the strange green children into their village. The children were brought to the household of Sir Richard de Calne, a knight of some standing in Bury St. Edmunds. It was common in those days for noble households to take in those in need, and these strange children presented a mystery a man of Sir Richard's position would feel duty-bound to investigate. In Sir Richard's hall, the green children were offered bread and other foods, but they refused everything brought before them, even as they showed signs of great hunger. For days they ate nothing, weeping and becoming weaker, until someone brought in beans still in their stalks. The children showed immediate interest, but not in the beans themselves. Instead, they eagerly opened the stalks of the bean plants, but finding nothing within, they wept again. When shown how to open the pods to reveal the beans inside, they immediately began to devour them with great enthusiasm. For many months afterward, this was all they would eat, raw green beans and nothing else. Those who recorded the tale saw significance in this, noting the connection between their green skin and their desire for green food. life in Sir Richard's household continued, with the children as objects of fascination and study. Gradually, as the chronicles tell us, they learned to eat other foods. And as they did, a slow transformation began to occur. As the months passed, the green children began to change. Their green color gradually faded. The boy, who had been sickly from the beginning, grew more ill and melancholy. Despite the care given by Sir Richard's household, he did not thrive and eventually died. The girl, however, grew stronger as her skin lost its green hue. She adapted to her new life, learned to eat normal food, and began to acquire the English language. She was baptized into the Christian faith, as was customary for those brought into the community. William of Newburgh writes that he is uncertain of the name she was given, but later accounts often call her Agnes. She lived on in Sir Richard's household, and as she gained command of English, the people around her began to ask her the questions that had burned in their minds since her appearance. Where had she and her brother come from? How had they arrived at Woolpit? And why had their skin been as green as forest leaves? When she could finally speak enough English to be understood, the girl told a tale as strange as her appearance had been. She and her brother, she said, came from a place she called St. Martin's Land, a mysterious realm where the sun never rose far in the sky, creating what we might call a perpetual twilight. In this land, as she described it, everything was green, the people like herself and her brother and all things around them. When asked where this land was located, she could only say it was across a great river. All the inhabitants there were Christians, she claimed, and they had churches much like those in England. As for how they came to Woolpit, her explanation was equally mysterious. She and her brother had been tending their father's herds when they heard a loud noise like bells, but more resonant than any church bells they knew. Entranced by the sound, they followed it into a cavern. There they wandered through a long passage of darkness, following the sound until they emerged into the blinding light of our world, the harvest fields of Woolpit. Confused and frightened by the brightness and the strangeness, they had stayed where they emerged until the harvesters found them. According to Ralph of Coggeshall, who likely interviewed her himself or spoke to those who had, she maintained this account throughout her life, though she remembered less and less of her original home as the years passed. What became of the girl after she learned our ways and language? According to the chronicles, she lived on in Suffolk for many years. Her behavior was described as rather loose and wanton, which might mean anything from spirited independence to actual impropriety by the strict standards of the time. Eventually, she married a man from King's Linnell, according to some later accounts, though the medieval sources don't specify his position. Some versions of the tale give him the name Richard Bear, but this appears to be a later addition to the story. Whether she bore children, how long she lived, and what finally became of her, the chronicles do not tell us. Her brother's resting place is likewise unrecorded, though presumably he was buried in Woolpit or nearby. And so, the green children, who caused such wonder with their appearance, gradually faded into history and then into legend, but the questions their story raises have never been fully answered. Over the centuries, many have attempted to explain the mystery of the Green Children of Woolpit. Let us consider some of these interpretations. Some scholars suggest the children may have been immigrants from Flanders who had become orphaned and lost. During the 12th century, Flemish immigrants were persecuted and massacred in the wake of Henry II's ascension. Perhaps these children wandered into England, speaking Flemish, which would indeed have sounded foreign to English villagers. But what of their green skin? Medical explanations have been proposed. A condition called hypochromic anemia, caused by poor nutrition, can give the skin a greenish tint. This might also explain their eventual return to normal coloration after proper feeding. Others suggest that children might have fallen into an abandoned mine shaft and emerged covered in arsenic or copper oxide, which could temporarily dye their skin green. Yet these explanations struggle to account for all aspects of the tale. The detailed description of their homeland as a twilight realm, their inability to recognize beings except in their stalks, and the specific way their story was recorded by serious chroniclers suggests something else might have been at work. Some folklorists see in this tale an encounter with the fairy realm, the children being fairy changelings or humans who had been taken into the fairy world and then returned. The description of St. Martin's Land bears similarities to descriptions of fairyland in British folklore. And for those with more modern sensibilities, could this be, perhaps, the first recorded case of visitors from a parallel world? The girl's description of crossing through darkness to emerge in our bright world has echoes in current multiverse theories. The tale of the Green Children has woven itself into the tapestry of British folklore and beyond. In the centuries since their appearance, the children have inspired poetry, novels, operas, plays, and artwork. Herbert Read, the poet and critic, published a novel called The Green Child in 1935. The British composer Nicola Lefanu created an opera based on the tale in 1988. Even Marvel Comics incorporated a version of the story into their Thor series, reimagining the Green Children as aliens. The village of Woolpit itself has embraced this strange chapter in its history. The village sign prominently features the Green Children, and local businesses and organizations reference them in their names and imagery. Beyond simple storytelling, the tale has become a lens through which we examine our understanding of others, those who appear different from us, and challenge our conceptions of what is normal or possible. Today, Woolpit remains a small village in Suffolk. St. Mary's Church, which existed when the Green Children appeared, still stands, though rebuilt and expanded over the centuries. The wolf pits that gave the village its name have long since been filled in, lost to time and development. Visitors to Woolpit can see the village sign depicting the Green Children and browse the local information about the tale. The exact location where the children were found is not marked. Perhaps it is better that some mysteries remain just out of reach. If you visit the churchyard, look for the unusual headstones and carvings. Though none mark the resting place of the Green Boy, the whisper of their stories seems to hang in the air around the ancient stones. The power of this tale lies not just in its strangeness, but in the fact that it was recorded as truth. These were not characters in a folk tale told to frighten children. They were real individuals who appeared in a real village, witnessed by real people, and documented by historians of their time. Whether we choose to believe their story as it was told or seek rational explanations, behind the green skin and strange language, the tale reminds us that history holds more wonders and puzzles than we might imagine. And so concludes our first journey together into the forgotten legends of medieval times. The Green Children of Woolpit, a tale that has outlived everyone who witnessed it, challenging us across the centuries to decide where truth ends and fantasy begins. Next time we meet, we shall travel to the courts of Europe, where for centuries kings and emperors awaited word from a powerful Christian ruler said to preside over a paradise in the east, the legendary Prester John. Until then, keep your minds open to wonder and remember that the border between our world and others might be thinner than we know. After all, somewhere, if the girl's tale is true, there exists a land of eternal twilight where all is green, and the sound of strange bells might still be calling. I am Osric the Tale-Binder. Until our paths cross again, fare thee well.